Boker Tov v'Chodesh Tov. We're continuing in Shir HaShirim, Perek Zayin, Pasuk Daled. Shenesha dahayich kishna ofarim ta'omet tzeviyah. Your two breasts are like two young babies that are twins from a tzvi, from a deer. Now this pasuk we had in Perek Daled, Pasuk Hey, Shenesha dahayich kishna ofarim ta'omet tzeviyah haroim b'shoshanim, which added two extra words, the shepherds of the flowers, of the roses. So the obvious question is, number one is why is it repeated? And number two, why is it without the last two words, Haroim Bashoshanim? So why it's repeated, the Mefarshim says, because this is Hashem's love, describing His love to us, and it's repeated twice to say after the first Bet HaMikdash was destroyed, and even after the second Bet HaMikdash was destroyed, then my love is still very strong. As far as why doesn't it say Haroim Bashoshanim over here? So on that I only found one pirush that discusses the Sefer the Ralbag. I'm sure there's more. I couldn't really get his full understanding, but he says something along the lines that in this description there's no connection. There shouldn't be a connection to Shoshanim, even though the pasuk prior was Sukkah Bashoshanim. I was trying to work on his, a little bit Kabbalistic as well. So I couldn't get a full explanation, but if you want to check the Ralbag, he explains why it doesn't say Haroim Bashoshanim here. So the Shenesh Shadayich is a place of Yanika, a place of giving food to the child. And we know that whatever the mother eats, that's what the child's going to be eating. And therefore, we have to look at ourselves and say, where am I eating from in my life? Am I eating from the Torah, from HaKadosh Baruch Hu's word, from Tefillah? Or am I eating from the news and other things? Because whatever comes in, that's what we're going to be affected by. And the friends that we have, etc. Rashi over here explains, this is the Shnei Luchot, as the Shnei Shadayich are like twins, same, etc. The Shnei Luchot. So the Shnei Luchot is Ben Adam Lachavero and Ben Adam Lamakom. It's Zeh v'Zeh, they're together. So too Rashi explains, like the Melech and the Kohen Gadol. Time Bnei Israel in their glory, there was a king and there's also a Kohen Gadol. There's two different people. The king was leading in war and the Kohen Gadol was leading in the Avodah, in the Bet HaMikdash. That is the Pirush of the Metzudat David. The Sefer Rokeach over here says, a short Pirush, that the two, so this is, again, the Shnei Shadayich is two twins, which the Chachamim compare it to. So he says this is compared to the menorah and the shulchan. The shulchan is parnasah. The menorah is, even though the aron is Torah, the menorah is also spirituality. The menorah is also Torah Sheba'al Peh. There's a connection between, when a person connects to try making the two in line. It's not two different worlds. I'm not religious here and not religious when I do business, right? It's all together in one. When you're doing work, there's how am I doing my laws of business transactions? Is it according to the Torah, etc.? It's all in one. The Arizal explains over here that this is talking about Moshe and Aaron. Moshe and Aaron were there like one. And the Torah itself sometimes says Moshe and Aaron, sometimes says Aaron and Moshe. And Rashi points out that, of course, they were brothers, but they were also like the same level. And this is where we are yonek from. We're getting our Torah from Moshe and Aaron. We mentioned this when we explained last time as well, is that the connection to the tzvi, to the deer, because often the deer gives birth to twins at a time. That's the connection here to twins. He gives birth to twins regularly as opposed to one child at a time. The Pirusha Gra over here explains that this is talking about, he continues that all these psukim are talking about the Bet HaMikdash, and that we are yonek from the Bet HaMikdash, from Harabayit, and that the entire world connects to the zechut that goes on in the Bet HaMikdash, as even goyim were allowed to bring korbanot of a nedava, of a donation. So the entire world is yonek from the Bet HaMikdash, and he connects the two to the nasi and the av bet din, the head minister, I guess, and the av bet din. And he also says that the connection to the tzvi is we have to be ratzkat tzvi to do HaKadosh Baruch Hu's will. Two more points. The Al-Sheikh HaKadosh explains that these two is connected to Torah nigla and Torah the nistar. The Torah that's nistar, the hidden Torah, which is referring to the Kabbalah, etc., and the revealed Torah, it's all together like one. Someone asked me yesterday, and addressed this at the end here, is that, especially this pasuk, there's a few pasukim, it describes, the lady's body. So is that like really so tzniut? How does that work out? So the Rambam explains that Shir HaShirim is all about Ahavat Hashem, loving HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the way that Shlomo Melech wanted us to compare it to is that when we love our wife, we love our woman, that love, we hope that it's throughout the entire marriage, but for sure at the beginning, it was the only thing on our mind. It was the only thing on our mind. That was it. We were dating, we were engaged, we were married. That was the only thing on our mind. We hope it continues. It continued. So too, Hashem wanted that the only thing on our mind is going to be, Shlomo Melech wanted the only thing on our mind is going to be HaKadosh Baruch Hu. As far as the tzniut part, it's an issue with us. When we are seeing these parts, if we are thinking, say our wife, that's where our mind goes, and that's where our connection, then that's holy. If our mind goes to other things, then it's an issue with us that maybe we're seeing other things, maybe we have other influences that take our mind there. But our mind's supposed to be holy. Now the truth is, this is an old discussion. As Rabbi Akiva in his time, there were those that wanted to take Shir HaShirim out because of this. So Rabbi Akiva stood for it, and he said there's other parts in the Torah as well, but we have to come into it with maturity, with Kedusha, the story of Tamar and Yehuda, the story of Benot Lot, and there's other various stories, especially in Tanakh, in Nach. So he says, for sure, this is Kodesh Kodashim. This is the description between us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and therefore it should be there, and that's the Shir HaShirim is, as we said at the beginning, and the whole thing is Kodesh Kodashim, and this concept as well is Kodesh Kodashim, as the true connection between husband and wife and marital relations is Kodesh Kodashim. That's where children come from. That's where tzaddikim come from. So the mindset is Kedusha. It's Kodesh Kodashim. Unfortunately, we've been exposed to the world and this and that where it affects us. But the proper way is we're looking at this in a very mature way, in a very holy way. And if we're not, then it's an issue with us. We have to work on ourselves. Just to end off, imagine a person that walks on fire. There's in Africa, whatever, there's people that walk on fire. So you say, hey, it doesn't burn me. It doesn't. Why? Say a guy does it for the first time. It's going to burn him. So you're weak. It doesn't burn me. Why doesn't it burn you? Because you've done it 1,000,000 times. It doesn't burn the guy anymore. He's used to it. So, but it burns the person because it's his first time, etc. So too, a person, someone says, let's do separate seating, or let's do separate dancing, or let's do. So what happens is, he says, you're crazy. Why? What are you? The problem is because you've been so used to seeing, things that you shouldn't see. You've been so callous to it. It doesn't affect you anymore. It doesn't affect you because you're so deep into it. You think it doesn't affect you, but you're so deep into it that it doesn't affect anymore. But for someone that has the level of kedusha, etc., one time you would see someone dressed not properly, it affects him the whole day. And someone else says, what are you talking about? So what? Let the person dress like that, whatever. Because unfortunately, they're so callous to it. So we have to look at ourselves and say, where are we on the barometer? And say we have to sometimes clean ourselves to connect to the proper kedusha of these inyanim. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. אמן ואמן. רבי יחנן אמר כשם רצה הקדוש ברוך הוא לזכות את יספי חביב האדם תורה מסו שנאמר אדוני חפץ למען צדקו יגדיל תורה וידיר